Let me know if the barking gets too much.
Sure thing. Hello, everyone. Barking is too much. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to D&D&D&D&D campaign number 1, Under Locks and Keys. When we last left off, the party made their way through the ash-riddled, zombie-infested town of Lake Onice, reuniting Paul and Flower and Fall, both with the distant survivors and you, the audience. Encountering a group of infected that were accosting the innocent survivors who were not as prepared to fight off the infected horde as they thought they would be. Rushing to their defense came our heroic duo, as well as some newcomers. A mysterious shape-shifting man, taking on the form of a wolf. A large, physically gifted dragonborn with the power to summon insects. And a mysterious dark elf archer. However, on defeating the infected, the party found that they were not infected at all, rather simply made-up humans who explained at the point of a sword that their leader, one Bryce Thorne, had convinced a group of prisoners from the jailhouse to put on this ruse as an attempt to intimidate people into dropping their valuables and simply refuse to fight them. As it's much more intimidating to fight a creature that can potentially spread its infection to you as opposed to an average human. With that, the party, with this newfound knowledge, left those that they had left alive to the tender mercies of the survivors, and went to deal with the problem at the source. Along the way, realizing that their goals may align in the long term as well. As Paul, Flower, and Fall explained, that they were here seeking a treasure that could be gotten via acquiring Quetzalcoatl's wind breastplate, which would be the first of the keys that they all need to access the door. Behind which contains the lost riches of a world forgotten. Joining together, both against the pretending zombie bandits, and in the long term to secure the wind breastplate and whatever keys may come after, the party is united, and making their way into the prison, stumbling through booby trap after booby trap, the party has put together something of a plan. Greylog, being a shapeshifter, has taken on the form of a rather pudgy bandit that was one of the casualties of the previous battle. And seems intent on using that disguise to give you guys something of an in with the other bandits. With that, as you guys gather in the office of the prison, you can hear that the bandits, likely aware that you're coming, have put on the zombie act, presumably not for long, thinking that one of their own is among you. As Greylog takes his new form and you all gather your supplies, what would you all like to do, if anything?
Well, it's hard to say here.
You
don't have to do anything. I was just more giving you the
Have
opportunity.
they noticed Greylog?
No, you guys are in the office, essentially the entry office of the prison. So no, they definitely know you're here, but they haven't seen you yet, nor have you seen them.
I see flaws in this plan, but I'm trying to think. Should we have, I guess, a backup plan?
Indeed, a flawed plan is a
What? I heard a flawed plan.
I started to say a flawed plan is better than no plan.
Oh, I heard a flaw plan. That was mostly, but true. I get that.
Greylog, seeming like he's taking on the voice of the bandit, gives a somewhat uncertain shake of the head. There is a lot of them, though.
Hmm.
Can we tell how many, or is it just like a collective
We only
sound coming our way?
It's a collective, but from what those you captured said, there's about 40 of them in total, which even if the ones the 6 you fought are no longer a problem, that still leaves about 30 something about 34 unaccounted for.
well, yeah, but they also said that they were split up. They weren't all okay.
Yeah. And you don't know how many are in the prison. You just know their total number is likely still pretty high.
Yeah.
Well,
What sort of?
it's not our prerogative to tell them that the jig is up.
What? Well, I guess what the question would be, once they think you're one of them, what then?
Figured maybe I could say that I took you prisoner, I guess. Fair point. I hadn't thought that far ahead.
Grillag, you know me. I am not one to be a prisoner.
Flower on Paul's shoulder gives a nod. The cellar has the generator that we need to power up if we want to get to the top of the mountain, so we definitely need to make sure we do that. And Fall gives a small nod. And see if the engineer's still alive down there.
Oh, they both talk now.
Yeah, well, yeah, Claude did mention that. Fall talks less, but they both do speak, so...
Do we know which way to go? Obviously.
Basically, how are we dealing with these people? Because so I mean, I'm just trying to think about this again. It's just what would accomplish.
You could always turn into a small mouse and scout ahead.
At this level, can he do wild shape twice in a day? Let me double check. I'll need to grab his character sheet.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'll pull up his character sheet. Hold on.
Beyond one already.
Betrayal.
What? No.
Betrayal.
I'm looking.
Yeah. My computer's just a little on the slow side, so
You said
taking me off.
right?
-2.
And one more time, Austin.
I'm looking at. Okay, you can.
Yeah, it'll have like a little checkbox on how many times he can do it.
Well, I can't get his character sheet on the phone, but he said. But I looked at basically druids. You can wild shape twice at second level,
Okay, so he should. Yeah, I'll still keep the character sheets pulled up just in case. Just be good to have them. But all right. So giving a nod. Just suppose I could make that work. But even if I find it, what then?
Well, I guess. Well, you out.
Return to us and tell us how many.
Yeah. What we're dealing with, essentially.
Well,
All right, I suppose I can do that. And he kind of turns away before turning back to you guys, and don't go anywhere.
Grillag, when have I ever left without you?
He gives a smile, and with that, releases his grip on his current transformation and enters into a new one, slowly shrinking down to the floor until he is in the form of a little itty-bitty mouse. And with a small affirmative squeak up at all of you, scuttles off, basically like forcing the door open with all of his might and disappearing on the other side.
I'll turn to the others and just kind of like I'll turn to the others and just like she has like this deadpan look on her face. You don't know if she's serious or not. I should have told him to do a skinny mouse.
And what was I've been saying? You see Flower and Fall kind of smile a little bit.
To his credit, he does have bouts of, times where his mind is not complete. Although I don't think that he will not do that, if you understand. I have faith in him.
Well, all we have to do now is wait.
All right. Do any of you want to do anything of note while he's away? Also, Flower and Fall, hello.
One of my alarms decided to make any noise. It's vibrate on me.
It's relatively bright. There's some very basic bulbs on the ceiling, which basically it's a very dull light, but enough to see. I think it has to be natural. Yeah, it has to be natural sunlight for it to affect you. Yeah, artificial light isn't. I don't believe is a problem. Basically, depending on the nature of that art, like basically, if someone casts a spell that blinds you, like that would still blind you, but because that's what the spell does, as opposed to your ability.
Did you? I.
No, because that's magically produced sunlight. I mean, it'd probably be basically in character. It'd be uncomfortable, but I don't believe that would count. Like in terms of actually kicking. Basically, you could give them the disadvantage if you wanted, but it's not required.
Okay, I didn't know it did give them disadvantage.
Yeah, because Dark Elf.
Or no, it's not like because I have that feature as well.
Yeah, I believe that it has to be natural sunlight for that to happen. I believe so.
Yeah, I don't know, I thought it affected me once. I'm not sure.
But yeah. So that being said. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to rule it that it has to be natural sunlight, just because spells that produce light to the point of it being sunlight usually would blind you anyway. So like it wouldn't matter at that point.
I think only one that has is there is a spell called sunlight. It just makes it very
daylight. I know that's like kind of a point of debate. Basically, unless there's like an official ruling on the matter, I'm gonna say it doesn't count. I'm gonna say it's distinct. Odds are that situation probably won't come up here anyway. But if it does, we can just look it up then. Also, Flower and Fall, you good?
Yeah.
Okay. For context, all you missed was Greylog, whose player is not here, wild shaped into a mouse and is scouting out the prison ahead of you guys, and is going to report back with how many people are here and if they can find the cellar, since that's where the generator and potentially the engineer of the survivors is. Since if you can get that up and running, then you'd be solid. Yeah, since Flower and Fall were there for being told that. So with you here and brought up to speeds, is there anyone who wants to do anything while waiting for Greylog to return?
Let's see.
Wow, even rolling for Greylog, you rolls well.
I don't know how long he's going to be gone.
Well, he can only be gone for an hour tops, or wild shape will wear off.
Okay.
Alright. Can you remind me what that does? Alright. Which I do. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, you expend your primeval awareness. I believe you are not in favored terrain right now, so No, I was more just like for my own reference. Expending your primeval awareness? No, there does not appear to be any of those creatures within a mile of you.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it. Don't get lost. Brush your teeth. Alright. Some time passes. You all wait patiently for Greylog's return. The groaning continues for most of that time, but then eventually begins to die down. And Greylog is not gone for very long. you'd estimate only about 20 minutes have passed before the door is very lightly pushed enough for Greylog's mouse form to squeeze his way through the crack and shake himself off before reforming, now back in his fiery elemental-esque form, as he gives you all a nod, and there's about 20 in total out there. I don't think it's likely we're going to get by without being seen, but I did find the cellar. There's a door to get down there just past the bathrooms. It's not far from here.
So what's the plan now?
Well, what do you propose?
It's hard to say. I mean, the situation needs to be taken care of. Just what would be the best approach? I'm assuming we can't catch them by surprise too much.
Saying that
What?
am I to assume that you mean that we are to defeat these bandits?
Yes.
Very well.
It's just trying to see if I can think of a game plan, but not my forte. All I can think about would be just, going, maybe provide.
Sometimes, my dear paladin is... Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
What?
Did I interrupt you?
No.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I was gonna say, sometimes, my dear paladin, all you can do is take the bull by the horns.
True. Just trying to see if there's, anything else we could do, maybe cause a distraction. But, at least I don't have...
I can send forth my bugs.
Send forth your bugs. I mean...
Indeed. How far away are they, Grillo?
Just down the hall to the right, but it looks like they definitely know we're here, and odds are, if nothing happens, they're probably going to send someone to investigate what triggered the traps.
So, would I be able to do infestation? It's 30 feet. Would it be able to reach them based on what Grillo said?
Does it have to be a point you can see, or is it just anywhere within 30 feet?
Be like, oh.
It does have to be a point that I can see, so maybe I could crack the door a little bit and tell them go forth or whatever.
Well, and also, does it have to target a creature, or is it just a space?
Or is it a spray? So I guess that's still tech.
That is a good question.
This is why you read your spellbook, kids.
It does have to be a creature, so I have to see the person. Yeah, no. It does have to be a person, so maybe I can peek and see if there's somebody out there. And
Sure.
distract them with bugs.
Sure, you can do that.
Cool. When I do that, I would like to expend one of my sorcery points to be a subtle spell, so I can just silently tell, maybe psychically tell my bugs to go forth.
Sure. Yeah, you have the ability for that, so I'll allow it. And I'll throw you a bone and say, since you're expending a sorcery point to do the spell quietly, I won't make you roll stealth for opening the door. Approaching the door that Greylog had gone through, you peek out to see a long, or rather a long hallway, but one that branches immediately to the left, and appears to be the only way forward, but keeping low to the ground and not just bursting open the door. You do indeed. You don't see them right away, but you do start to hear footsteps, kind of shambling, stiff ones, and the groans of quote-unquote zombies coming closer, and can see some shadows from them being cast. It does appear a group is, as Greylog predicted, coming to investigate what activated the trap, seeing as whatever did it is not coming to them.
Okay. As soon as I can see somebody, I'm gonna tell my bugs, have a feast.
Okay. I will say, go ahead and, is that a saving throw or an attack roll?
Saving.
Alright. Time for them
Yeah,
to
it's a Constitution saving throw.
Alright, DC?
Okay. Whoa!
What?
I rolled max damage.
Nice.
What's the con save he's asking?
Yeah.
What's the saving throw?
It's 13.
Alright, they do succeed.
Okay.
Yeah, they do succeed the save.
You rolled all that damage.
Dang it.
Sorry.
Okay. That's okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's just an itty-bitty cantrip. It's not gonna do much. I will turn to the others. They have evaded my bug.
And as you do that, all of you can hear this from the slight opening in the door that that she has created. As you cast your bugs, you see that the figure that turns the corner is a lot smaller than you were expecting. So the bugs fly over their head, and the small bandit begins to promptly swap and abandoning the zombie guys almost instantly, begins to draws a small knife from a holster and begins to swing and cut at them and swat and slap. And you all can hear voices from down the hall, just like, "Ah, shit!" And a voice, "Fucking bugs! No, knock it off! Focus! It's just nothing but bugs! Probably just an animal! An animal that has flies and insects coming down the hall. Go down and take a look at it." And you can hear not the sound of someone hitting something else, but just the sound of an impact, likely the bandit striking the wall with their weapon to enforce some form of order. As the buzzing and swatting of insects dies down, there's silence once again, although they do appear to be continuing to approach.
Yes.
I'm going to. Is there like a horde of them coming this way?
You didn't get a good look at how many there were, but you did hear 4 different voices at least. Because you just fired it at the first person you saw and then turned away, so.
I'll look to the others. I can do one more thing, but it will take away our stealth.
I think we're gonna lose it either way. Greylock pipes up.
Very well. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go outside the door.
Alright. As you all watch as she throws open the door and boldly steps out into the hall. And now you're able to get an even better look at the surroundings. The walls are caked in filth and bloodstains. And you see 6 quote-unquote infected. Although hearing the voices, you do not imagine these are exceptions to the bandits' plan. On closer inspection, you see the one that you had failed to infest appears to be, whether you can identify this in a human or not is up to you, but they appear to be a child, not like 13 or so at the oldest.
So what I would like to do Asari is going to raise her staff and kind of like move her tail behind her, and I'm going to cast Prestidigitation to make a puff of wind, like blow her like little hairs and her dress, and like give her like all kinds of like air of authority and power, and she's going to say, "I wouldn't come this way if I were you."
Make me an intimidation check. And, to catch you up on what you missed, Ivaman, Greylog reported that he did indeed find the cellar. It's just down the hall near the bathrooms. It appears that the bandits, of course, heard the booby traps getting activated and sent a group to investigate to see. Since you guys didn't come to them, they're assuming the booby traps likely killed whoever it was, and are basically sending a group to scavenge what they can. Asari tried to cast infestation on one of them, failed, so now they've just stepped out into the open. Since they're coming into the room you guys are in, so your options are leave or lose the element of surprise. From the sounds of it. Alright. Sorry, would you...
Intimidation roll is a dirty 20.
Okay. Okay. Alright. I'll say, since you're already preemptively drawing, if any of them tries to do something you don't like, I'll allow you to try and make an attack roll on them. As Asari, you use your command of Prestidigitation to give yourself a billowing wind-like effect as you stand in front of all of them. You can see there appears to be about 6 of them in total. One of them appears to be very, very old, and another, the one that you had tried to cast Infestation on, appears to be a child, like no older than 13. All of them decked out in the makeup that makes them look sick and infected and bepustuled. But as you say this, and Ivaben, you step out and draw back your bow, the older man immediately stumbles and panics, and a figure standing behind him, his makeup is on incredibly thick. You actually cannot see any of his, normal features from behind the thick, infected-looking makeup, grabs a nearby dark-skinned human by the shoulder, and just, "Intruders! Go let the others know!" And the young child holds up the dagger that they had pulled to deal with the infestation bugs, and they're kind of shaking, but you can definitely tell they're swallowing and trying to maintain their resolve as they point their dagger at the two of you. And drop it. Yeah, one of them appears to be trying to break away to go. All right, make an attack roll. Yep, go for it.
While he does that, I'm going to look to the child, and I'm going to say, "Child,
that's a hit. Roll for damage."
I'm going to say, "Child, I suggest that you join our forces," and I'm going to cast suggestion on the child.
You'd have the child to join us. Interesting. I see the type of character you are.
Alright, yeah, no, they haven't taken any damage. They've had all the time in the world to rest. Alright, 4 damage, you said? Okay, noted. Okay. With expert aim, you fire your arrow, basically weaving it between the older man, another bandit next to him, and the one who had grabbed him. And as the bandit attempts to duck behind his comrades to run back down the hall, you manage to catch him in the thigh with your arrow, and he does immediately fall prone and grimace in intense pain. The bandit who had given him the order immediately grabs him and starts trying to rouse him to keep running. And what's the saving throw for suggestion?
It is a wisdom
Jesus.
saving throw of 13.
My dice rolled literally clear across the room. Give me just a hot second. I actually cannot reach it with my headset on.
How far have your dice flown?
I got something to say when he gets back.
Alright, I return.
Wow.
You didn't have to throw it, Matthew.
Yeah, the table was smoother than I thought.
That's fine. I'm just kidding.
I actually have one. I just don't have it on me right now. Although, yeah, let me go ahead and I'll set up an improvised one. There we go. That's why this is what I normally do. I just forgot to this time. All right, and that's a wisdom saving throw, correct?
Yes.
And DC.
13.
All right. And how long does suggestion last?
I think 8 hours. Yeah, 8 hours.
Okay. The child has just enough time because they're across the hall, so they're continuing to speak as you are about to give your command. As Ivaben takes his shot and all the chaos erupting behind him, he holds up his dagger and, clearly afraid but steeling himself, points his dagger at the two of you and drop all of your valuables. But as you give your suggestion, his eyes kind of pale and go a bit crossed before he shakes his head, and his eyes still maintaining a kind of pale look to them. Doesn't like drop it to the ground, but like drops his arms to his side, and begins to walk towards the two of you, calmly and like with his weapon at his side. And you can see the older man who Ivan's arrow had almost grazed reach out towards him as the other bandits hold him back, like, "Son, no!" Basically, yeah. All right, make an attack roll. While this is going on,
Sorry, is gonna say, nobody judged the child.
All right, that's a hit. Roll for damage. Yeah, got it. I'll do your damage again. Alright, noted. While this is going on, Paul, Flower and Fall, you can hear all the and see it through the now open door, all this going down. What are the two of you doing?
I guess. I will get in front of the child. Like, I will basically get between the child and the adults with my shield up.
Okay. And Flower and Fall, as Paul, since you're on his shoulders, Paul kind of pulls you along. What are the two of you going to do? Okay.
Yeah, best course of action.
I was muted, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So what do you want Flower and Fall to do?
They'll ready their weapons for now. Narrowing their eyes.
Okay. Ivan, as you take another shot and manage to strike the bandit trying to command the other, this time in the shoulder, and he handles the pain a lot better than his comrade, but still winces and turns to look at you angrily. Make me an intimidation check with advantage.
Oh, really? That sucks, because Asari has a +5, which I was like, yeah. Woo, that's not bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, could be worse. So what'd you get? Okay. As the rest of you storm out, Greylog drawing a spear and staying next to Asari with spear at the ready. You all begin to file in. Flower and Fall drawing your trick weaponry, and Paul drawing your shield and standing between the child who's slowly and calmly approaching Asari. And Ivaben, as you make your threat, and Paul blocks off the child from the banditry. The bandits kind of glance to each other and then to all of you. But the old man, who's still struggling against the grip of his comrade, who's basically holding him in place so that he doesn't run towards you guys and incur more of your wrath, the older man turns to the others and, "For the God's sake, stop!" And not looking happy about it, they lower their weapons They don't drop them, but they do lower them, so they're not in an immediately aggressive stance. And the older man cries out to all of you.
Sorry, it was going to point to the boy. Go ahead.
Yeah, the older man cries out to all of you, and just, please, just don't hurt him.
Indeed. Is this how you intend to raise your boy, sir?
He gives a wince, and it's not my fault. And the guy holding him in place pipes up. We've fallen on hard times. Stealing was the only way we could put food in our mouths, put food in the boy's belly. And he waves his sword at the young boy. None of us did nothing. Well, most of us anyway. We just, after we lost our jobs, we couldn't afford to make ends meet anymore any other way.
Can you not find another job?
The older man shakes his head, looking genuinely desperate and despairing, and just, there wasn't any options. Everything was happening so fast. Once the new laws got passed, all the mining, logging, all of it was drying up. People were squabbling over what little they could get.
How much? Yes. What little?
He kind of makes a kind of odd expression. You can see this older man, what features of his you can glean from behind the infected makeup. You can see the brimmings of blonde hair that appears matching the boy's, that appears to be going gray, with a very puffy goatee and mustache combo, and long locks of graying blonde hair. He kind of makes a puckered, frustrated expression, and it was to protect the forests, protect the land for the animals and creatures of the land. I don't... the one holding him speaks up. The most of us don't have any problem with the creatures being safe, but we have to eat too. And Captain Thorne said this was a way to ensure we could eat without having to hurt no one.
Tell me, sir.
One...
Dude.
Yeah, no, like, everybody was too scared to leave either the safe areas or their homes if they couldn't make it there, not wanting to chance infection. The one that you had shot in the thigh, Ivan, pipes up, and as soon as the weather cleared, we had every intention of seeking our freedom elsewhere. We had no intention of establishing any kind of new order over the town. Just make sure we could eat until the weather passed, and then make our way to freedom, seek our fortunes elsewhere.
Tell me, sir. For you and your child, how much would you need to do as such, so you do not need to resort to such awful means?
For life, or...
I am not that generous, sir, for the rest of the storm.
He kind of considers for a long moment, and... We don't know how long this is going to last, but assuming it lasts as long as the other divine councils do, I don't know what I don't know what we of Levant did to incur Quetzalcoatl's wrath, but he swallows in.
Yes.
Near as anybody can tell. They all kind of pause at this and look to each other. And the kind of grouchy one that you had shot in the shoulder, I've been kind of... You all are able to hear it, but he kind of mumbles to all of them. Not seeming like he's deliberately trying to not be overheard, and more just he seems like kind of a mumbler whenever he's not giving orders. Perhaps, if they truly can secure the armor, perhaps whatever curse will follow it. You said it yourself, and he gestures to the older man. We didn't do nothing to anger the serpent. We hosted the armor just as agreed. And this storm has blighted us ever since. They all kind of nod to each other, seeming to agree that this is reasonable. The older man, stepping forward cautiously, looks to you, Asari, and Ivabin, although he does nod to you respectfully, to the other three. Well, I think I speak for all of us here. We'll let you by without a fight. You can see a few of them in the back kind of twitch a little at that. Like, basically the kind of reactions of, we didn't say that, but okay. And he continues. If you'll take the accursed armor off our lands, then we'll do whatever you want, but please just leave my son with me and take whatever spell you've placed on his mind away. And he nods to you, Asari, and for you, miss, if the storm lasts as long as it possibly could, well, we won't need much if you can get the armor away. We'll just follow Captain Thorne to wherever he says to go, and not trouble any of the people of Levant again. We just can't take a chance of leaving the city with the storm. We don't know who's out there or what. And he kind of swallows a bit. But if you can't secure it, then he kind of winces a little bit, and doing a little bit of quick math in his head, he holds out his hand, and just a few gold pieces would be enough to last us for some time.
Asari is going to turn to the boy. You are free, and I'll drop the spell suggestion, and then I will usher him to his father, and I will look into my purse, heave a sigh.
She's fashion forward. And what's Iva been doing while she gathers her gold? Alright. While this is going on, Paul / Flowerfall, what are the two of you doing?
What gold do you want?
I'm going to give. You said that there's 6 of them, right?
Yeah, there are 6 bandits in total.
I will give each of them 10 gold.
There's a lengthy pause as you hold out the gold to them, and looking to each other, to all of you. Flower and Fall, you said, and in response to what you said, they initially seemed like they were going to respond somewhat apologetically, but seeing Asari's offer immediately shuts them up. Paul, what are you doing in the meanwhile?
Paul is going to start walking past the people.
Okay. The bandits begin to cautiously approach Asari as she offers the gold. And the one who hasn't spoken up yet actually is the first to step forward a little more confidently, sheathing his weapon, and with a bright smile to you, Asari. You can see they're a relatively short human man with skin that is currently made up to be yellow and has like a kind of pus-like texture to it, although you imagine that his normal face does not look like that. But they smile pleasantly at you with somewhat filthy, gapped teeth and long, stringy, greasy hair that goes down to their chest. And the small peach fuzz of a beard that seems like it staunchly refuses to grow in properly. They are the first to sheath their weapon and approach you with a confident smile, and just, for that much gold, love, we'll do whatever you want. And confidently, as long as you allow him to, take the gold from you. And Paul, as you begin to walk past the one of the ones towards the back, the one that I've been had shot in the thigh, who is actually just pulling that arrow free, and I'll say roll survival with advantage, since they're helping you get the arrows out. But as Ivan, you approach them and start helping them pull the arrows free, and they bandage themselves up. Alright, yeah, both arrows... No worries. Both arrows easily retrieved. These two seem like the least pleasant of these 6, but they, other than like small, like discontent glares, just kind of give you looks as they pull your arrows free and allow you to take them before starting to approach Asari for the gold. But the one that he had shot in the thigh puts a hand on your shoulder, Paul, and just, you're not going to want to go down that hall without us.
More trucks.
Could you lead us to the? Could you lead us to the? What room do we want to go to?
The cellar.
Yes. Could you lead us to the cellar?
The smiley one gives a smile, and yeah, easy enough. The older one simply hugs his son tightly, who, Asari, you actually know, they watch you like a hawk, but not actually with fear, more with, like, seeming genuine earnestness. Almost like they're fascinated by the spell you were able to place on them, and they kind of look at you with a broad, like star in their eyes smile, as their father hugs them tightly. The
I'll
pudgy...
give him a little wink.
He gives another broad smile, and the somewhat pudgy one who had spoken up gives a nod. For all of this, and he holds up the gold, I think that's more than fair. we'll say that we took you prisoner, and that we're going to throw you down in the cellar with the other two. They'll believe it coming from us. You good? He is the second to sheath his weapons, and the others begin to do the same. And the one who had grabbed you, Paul, gives a nod, and weapons sheathed. It's not a far walk. We'll just need to go through the commons to get you to the cellar. It's just past the bathrooms. And you can see Greylog kind of smile proudly that he had gotten it right. But yes, he nods.
Greylog on the head.
He nods to you, Flower on Paul's shoulder. We'll make sure you get through unscathed. Is there anything else we could do for all of you? Food, drinks, place to sleep? Got some drugs if you're into that sort of thing.
Oh, what kind of drug?
Like, you know,
That depends. What kind are you looking for, love?
I'm not picky. Something to mellow me out.
I'll see what I can have the boys brew up while you take care of your cellar business.
And give a wide, toothy smile. It's kind of unsettling, coming from a Dragonborn.
The older man continues to hug his child tightly. Definitely grateful to be reunited, but they seem like they're too intimidated and afraid to pipe up directly. Almost like they're worried that them saying anything further is going to incur some further wrath. But as you guys all gather yourselves, the grouchy one that Ivan had shot in the shoulder looks over all of you. Do you all do as asked and sheath your weapons for now?
Yep. I will say, do I have to give you my stuff? I need it to walk. You can't tell if she's serious or not.
Oh, we're not going to ask you for nothing. You can keep them on you, just make sure they're peace-tied, as it were. The others give nods, and the child actually pipes up at this point. Hi, we outnumber you, so they won't think it's too unreasonable.
What a smart little boy you are.
Thank you, miss. He kind of smiles shyly and kind of like pulls at the hem of his shirt as his father kind of pulls him in, seeming like almost like a kind of quiet, like don't like trying to like corral him from getting enthusiastic with you.
How old are you?
I am 13, miss.
What? We're 15.
Barely but a spratling. I'll turn to the small fairy things. You're 15.
Yeah. Strong.
The boy turns to his father and gives a wide, toothy smile, and they're so old, Papa. The old man actually does smile, but just pulls the boy in for a hug. I mean, again, more relieved at his safety than anything else.
I'll have you know, I was not intending to hurt your child. In fact, I was protecting him from harm.
He gives a slow nod and I've always tried to keep him away from... And he kind of swallows a little bit and doesn't finish his thought, but slowly rises to his feet and keeps his son at his side as he looks over all of you and shall we go?
Of course. What are your names?
The boy pipes up immediately. My name is Hugh, miss. And the...
And it rhymes with my last name.
What is your last name?
It is cool.
You're right, it does rhyme. The older man, still grimacing a little bit, and gives you a nod. I'm Eldar. The other bandits look a little less comfortable. They seem like friendly enough, but seem like they're kind of uncertain. But eventually the cheerful one does pipe up, pocketing the gold you had given him finally after fawning over it in his hands for some time, and holds out his hand to you. Just call me Scrummy, miss.
Rummy? Is that your real name?
No, it's something of a nickname I've been cultivating. Figure if I'm gonna be a thief, might as well sound the part, eh?
I guess.
I think it sounds fierce. Makes people afraid of me, you know?
Rummy. Well, if you have the reputation,
Think it's
anyone
it
can call you
sounds like
anything.
something that I would eat.
Oh, that just sounds silly, he nods to you. Sorry. Don't you know what Scrummy is?
Oh, what is it?
Yes.
It's a game!
Don't you? A game?
Yeah, it's a game. Scrummy. And you ever played Scrummy with your friends?
Oh, I'm not from here. What is it?
Have I?
Sorry, I guess make me a history check.
Maybe in college? Maybe in college or something? History. Okay. Listen, I did all kinds of crazy things in college. 22.
Alright. You are aware of this game. You know that it is most frequently a gambling game, specifically. As for how it's played, if Google would load.
It's fine. Esmari will kind of give a chuckle. Ah, yes, Grummy. Although this one, and I'll kind of like jab Jeremy's character Greylog in the ribs. This one is a gambler.
Yeah, I'm something of a card shark myself. It's part of the reason I was here, actually. Worked up quite a few gambling arrears.
These ones tend to have...
Gambling? That sounds boring.
It could be beneficial at times, depending on what you're betting. Hey, no ma'am.
Yeah, it does sound boring.
Oh no, it's a lot of fun. And bouncing off of what you said, Flower and Fall, he does begin to talk about the game. And I will say, sorry, your familiarity with it is It's a relatively straightforward card game, not too dissimilar to things like poker, but it's a little bit simpler than poker, and the reason for that is that it is intended for children. Yeah, I thought I'd remembered it correctly, but I wanted to double check. So it's basically a greatly simplified poker. The other bandits, seeming a little more uncertain, do not take the initiative, especially with the conversation beginning to drift, to introduce themselves. But since from the sounds of it you all follow instruction, they begin to escort you down the hall. As they do so, you go through blood-stained and filthy and definitely being dilapidated and beaten by the chaotic weather as they escort you. And the somewhat pudgy one who hadn't introduced himself yet turns to all of you and, if I can ask, why are all of you going after the breastplate?
Well, as you said, it's caused so much grievance. We might as well try to move it to a different place where it cannot cause grievances.
The one, the grouchy one towards the front, kind of coughs a bit and over his shoulder. You expect us to believe that you came all this way, gone through all this just out of the kindness of your heart?
But
I did just give you money, didn't I? Out of the kindness of my heart.
I will say, we are here to grab the plate for a reason, but I guess, that is our reason. But I will say, this whole deal with, I guess, your captain ends today.
They all kind of go a bit quiet at that. Not actually seeming upset, more... Paul, you get almost a sense of fear. And Q, the boy, is the first to speak up. He's not gonna like that.
I assure you, he wouldn't like us at all.
Hello. For what you missed, okay. Okay, just making sure. There's another silence, and Eldar, the older man, speaks up. We'll do what we can, but he's not a man to suffer fools or hear out bargains that aren't in his favor.
I could give him one favor. And she just kind of smiles darkly.
At this, the somewhat, the smiley one who had given himself the nickname Scrummy, actually does pipe up with a grin. Oh, didn't you know? He actually wasn't a prisoner here to begin with. Him and his wife just worked here. But after the weather started going all screwy, he and his wife were the only ones that stayed here. And, well, once we started getting out, he made it pretty clear that we were going right back in if we didn't fall in line. And, I mean, he gives a somewhat nervous chuckle. When it's, the end of a gun, or putting on some makeup, scaring a few folks, and you get to eat, It's kind of a hard deal to argue with. And believe me, he is a
He
not...
deserves to be in here. Let's get him. Let's beat him up.
Let's go.
Now, small one.
Eldar speaks up. Most of us had been here, although I'd say less than half of us actually deserved it. And Hugh speaks up with a smile. I just came here looking for Papa after it started to rain.
What a good boy.
No, sir. But whenever the weather started to turn, I needed to go somewhere, and this was the first place I could think of.
Is your mother not present?
From where you come from, it would depend on the nature of the crime. But generally speaking, they didn't have prison in the traditional sense. Among your people, generally, if the crime was minor or talked down from being severe, basically if it was argued in court that it was a minor crime, then the penalty would be some form of community service, or at worst, exile from the community. Basically, you either would work for the people or not bother them again. However, if the crime was very severe, but like this was like murder or worse, then the penalty was death. So basically, you either would do community service or just leave, or you would be killed if it was a very serious crime that they could not... They would not chance you poisoning the community any further. Young offenders, they typically basically take the approach of they don't know any better, so at worst, they would be given the community service treatment. A child would have to, like, do some, like, Disney villain shit for them to get exiled, and even then, that's basically the worst it would go. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, he, and what did, Asari ask?
What did I ask?
Something about something not being pleasant?
I don't... Oh, I asked, is the mother not present?
He shakes his head. No, ma'am. My... And he kinda... He doesn't seem upset, more he just kind of goes quiet, and Eldar speaks up. His mother and father died at sea when he was just an even younger boy than he is now. I'm all he has left.
Sad.
What is your dream, little boy? What do you want to do when you grow up?
He gives a somewhat shy, nervous smile, and I want to be an adventurer, like my mother and father.
Well,
you get better at those weapons, and perhaps one day when we come back, we can see about you joining us.
you just marked the buff light here.
And the pudgy bandit kind of scoffs a little bit, and if that boy gets any better with those blades, he's going to be the death of us all.
That may not be a bad thing when he becomes an adventurer, so...
He gives a wide smile, and it seems like he's going to launch into something, but Eldar kind of grips his shoulder a little bit, and... Quiet down. We're getting close. Scrummy gives a nod. Aye. You all look all sad and oppressed and prisoner-like. We'll make sure you get to the cellar, and I'll see about cooking up something fun for your lady friend.
You'll never take us alive.
That's the spirit.
She kind of like says it, and it's like the most deadpan look on her face. Like you can't tell if she's actually serious or not.
Is there any last things before you guys are taken to the commons area?
Oh shit! I just blew a smoke ring.
Hey! Alright, Flower and Fall and Paul, the two of you are good?
Yeah.
Well, you know, people are about to die soon, so I get.
There is a quiet, and the prison itself is unnaturally silent, which is very unsettling, given that you know this place to at least have some form of population, as you had heard the cacophony of pretend zombie moans. And as you guys round the corner of the hallway, passing through a set of bars that appear to have once been a sliding protective door, but has literally been ripped off of its hinges. You round a corner and find yourself looking at a long hall, 2 stories high, of cells. A patchwork platform of metal and mesh and wood supporting a second floor set of platforms that connect out from the higher up cells. And gathered at the foot, or rather at the bottom floor, all watching the door expectantly as you all step through, is you all doing a quick head count. What appears to be an additional 12 bandits in total. All of them heavily made up as undead, or infected rather. But seeing the state that you all are brought in, seeming to be held prisoner by their friends who, other than some minor wounds, appear to be more or less fine, there's a collective relief. And one of them, a somewhat sweaty, balding man, waves to the... gives a wave, and... More prisoners there! And the man who has his hand on your shoulder, Paul, and has not removed it since confronting you, gives him a nod. Aye, they'll be joining the engineer in the cellar. And someone sitting across from the sweaty guy, someone who actually has a passing resemblance to the skinny fellow that you guys had spared outside of the jailhouse. They may be related, but under the makeup it's hard to tell for sure. Gives a smirk and that's a shame. I was hoping he would buy into the whole infected thing for a bit longer, but these ones are probably going to squeal on it. Ah, well, we'll see how it goes. And he kind of waves dismissively to all of you. But as you all start passing into the area more, the skinny fellow kind of tilts his head and, sure, it's a good idea to allow them to keep their weapons. And the man on your shoulder, Paul, stops and just turns and stares at him, and you get the immediate sense of intimidation, as there's 18 of us, and he turns to almost like double check his head count. Although you get the impression he's more double checking to make sure, because Flower and Fall, you notice his gaze lingers on you. But given that he has no indication of your condition, he seems more like he thought you might have tried to slip away and wanted to make sure he wasn't about to give himself away before turning back. There's less than half of them compared to there are of us. You really think they need to be unarmed for us to be a threat to them? Well, no, just asking is all. What they're carrying looks valuable. And he kind of leans forward and licks his lips. And He kind of, the man on your shoulder, Paul, kind of scoffs and shakes his head. We'll strip them down to their clothes another time. We have to wait for the captain. He gets first dibs on everything. You know the rules. Aye, aye. He kind of rolls his eyes and leans back and puts his feet up on the table. And the atmosphere in the commons area begins to promptly settle and calm. The commons area, as you walk through it, it appears that whenever the prisoners were broken out or released, what was in their cells has been repurposed in this area as a sort of makeshift living space for the foreseeable future. There's tables and chairs scattered about, all of them seeming focused on just entertaining themselves with various forms of recreation as the air begins to smooth and cool a little bit with the explanation from those escorting you. And while it's a bizarre sight, all of these people made up to look sick, infected, and undead, reading books and chatting with each other, almost like the atmosphere of a bar, despite how they look. Scrummy, kind of jogging next to you, pipes up, keeping his voice low, but pipes up with a smile. We do from time to time. Whenever we heard the traps go off, we just made sure we looked the part. As far as we knew, you guys, and he kind of gives a bit of a shrug. Just thought it was better safe than sorry. If we could get you to just drop your valuables and run. Guessing he kind of winces a little bit. You run into some of our brothers in arms on the way here?
More as they ran into us. Kurlov decided that one of them was a pinata.
And I don't believe you guys actually asked.
I don't think got any of the names.
A dark-skinned man and a skinny man with kind of sallow, sickly-looking skin, even without the makeup. Oh, well, glad the two of them made it out all right enough.
Someone.
Well, for the ones that weren't so lucky, my prayers are with them, I guess. He winces a little bit, but hopefully, we can get this. He gives a bit of a shrug, but the grouchy one who was not given his name speaks up. There wasn't much in the way of a guard in the city whenever the storms hit, and those that were left had their hands full trying to get everyone to safety. Captain Thorne knew that the city was basically defenseless. After all, the guards aren't going to be much good if they struggle to even so much as walk. We just would take to the streets whenever the weather was clear enough for us to walk there and back safely, and try to get back as quickly as possible with as much as we could carry. So, more often than not, we wouldn't be running into anyone who could fight, let alone have the chance to organize anything. Send word how? Oh yeah, but it's mighty hard to get a message anywhere whenever, blizzards and hurricanes, and then there's a sandstorm, and then something falls from the sky and clocks you.
Yeah, lots of storms.
Yeah, I did almost dive, so...
You're too cool.
Well, like I said, you came during a brief dry spell. That's whenever we do our hunting. But, it doesn't last very long. In fact, I suspect by the time we finish up here, it should be ending soon.
So you have to hurry, I see.
They all kind of solemnly nod, and you clear the...
How do you propose that we leave this establishment?
Well, how you leave, I think, is more your problem. We don't exactly have a way to traverse the weather either. We just have to wait till it clears up enough for us to survive.
No underground tunnels? Ugh.
Why?
There are the sewers, but they're probably on the verge of flooding, and I don't know how far those will take you. It technically wasn't underground, it was through a mountain.
Yeah, so more just a standard cross.
Yeah.
Well... I say we keep going, and hopefully by the end of this, all this will be taken care of before the time runs out.
With any luck. You clear the commons area with little, not much outside of the kind of vaguely curious glance of some of the bandits. As you are taken down another hall, turning again, the flooring begins to give way to tile work, this almost marble-like texture, as you appear to be in the shower and bathroom area of the prison. From time to time, of course. Yeah, when you gotta go, you gotta go. Well, yes, but remember that they make themselves up to look that way. The walls of the prison are disgusting, but the guys themselves, you don't know how much of the dirt is authentic and how much of it is just makeup. Yeah, it's basically one of those big communal showers with stalls nearby. Scrummy gives a smile. Oh, yeah, we keep ourselves as clean as anyone else. All this is just makeup. Captain Thorne, actually. Found a few trinkets while he was exploring the area, and that was where he got the idea. Yeah, real stroke of luck, huh?
Sure.
Well, he's a smart fella. Probably just found some rich lady's house and she had a bunch of excess she wasn't using. Yes, he worked for the circus before, or at least was a part of it. But he mentioned he didn't know him super well, just that he was part of the performances. Yeah, I'd say they would. And you yourself have traveled, so I'd say, like, even if your people don't, like, you yourself would have developed a familiarity. Oh, that's something I didn't know about him. I'll have to ask him.
I would
Sounds
recommend.
like a liar.
And after a moment, just on the opposite end of the showers, they take you to a steel bolted door that they set about undoing what you presume to be a trap. This one's not one of ours, actually. The engineer's had a lot of time to himself, and the grouchy one speaks up. He still thinks that we're, and he kind of does the zombie arm motions. Honestly, we've been leaving him alone just to see how long he keeps it up. Believe me, it does, but the other man speaks up. Captain's orders. After a moment, they step away, and Scrummy says, "Well, I'll leave you to your special type of crazy. I'm gonna go see what I can cook up." And gives you a wave of sorry and a bit of a wink as he turns to bow to the rest of you and scurries off promptly. And the bandits begin to disperse. And you notice Hugh kind of watching you all eagerly as his, what you now know, grandfather pulls him away. Leaving you all in front of the now...
I'll give Hugh a little wave.
He enthusiastically returns it, and as they round the corner, you are all left in the prison showers, the door unlocked, and as far as you know, unbooby-trapped. The engineer and the generator you need to restore power to awaits you down below.
I'm gonna knock on the door.
There's a lengthy pause, and a part of you begins to actually doubt whether he's even down there with how long the silence lasts. But after a moment, you hear a slight fumbling, kind of echoing and clambering back up to you, before you hear a voice call up. Hello?
Hello?
Oh, thank God! You can hear footsteps immediately starting to clamber up the, what sounds like a set of stairs, before, you hear the sound of a wire being cut, and some things being moved, before the door is thrown open, and you see who you presume to be the engineer. You see a somewhat older, not elderly, but just older-looking human man. Hair not quite graying yet, but like you can see the little bits of silver in there. But his face overall seems energetic and youthful, but is dirtied, and it definitely looks like he has not had a proper shower in quite some time, ironically, given his proximity to them. a blue beanie cap is pulled over his head, and he's currently donned in forest green engineer's clothes, one of those like protective jumpsuits, essentially. Although the chest is zipped open to reveal an undershirt beneath. And he looks over all of you and kind of squints a little bit and looks over his shoulder, and I'm glad they finally sent somebody to get us. How'd y'all get past the infected? I didn't hear no fighting.
We have a story. Yes, it is quite the story. Can maybe come in?
Yeah. And he calls down, "Honey! Mascoid sent someone to get us!" And he immediately waves over his shoulder for you guys to follow as he starts, like, just bum, 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 going down the stairs, seeming wildly energized and enthusiastic now. And I'm assuming you all follow?
Yes, let us go.
Alright. Oh yeah, and as you guys begin to travel, you immediately notice several things that make you deeply uncomfortable. Firstly, the moment you get past the steel door, you notice that the trap that the bandits had been disabling, you can see what appears to be a vial of a bright green liquid positioned precariously over the door that, if the bandits had not cut and the man himself had not attempted to disable, likely would have poured whatever contents are within onto the first thing to walk through. And you see a cut tripwire that you guys just cautiously step over just to be safe. And Asari kind of following it, you see a somewhat large bucket dangling.
Yes, the mayor of class here.
You are going to beat the final boss of this campaign with a bucket, and it's going to make me laugh.
Or I can put inside the...
That would be fucking hilarious.
That will just be like, splash!
You need to take Tavern Brawler with Paul at some point so he can actually use the bucket as a legit weapon. Get it enchanted so it's like a +3 bucket.
So fucking funny.
Yeah, bucket time.
Think about this. If Paul enchanted... I'd honestly be totally down for that. Also, I love the idea that if Paul did do that, get a +3 bucket, his bucket would do as much damage as a fucking short sword does.
You're also forgetting unarmed strike, and then fucking divine smite the...
Yeah, divine smite with a bucket!
Beats you to death with a bucket.
Yeah, Paul, darting your eyes to the bucket immediately, you see that it is very full of water, and you imagine if that were to pour on top of you while trying to descend the stairs, it would likely send you tumbling very painful work stairs if it didn't just flat out kill you. And finally, at the very base of the stairs, you see another cut tripwire. This one, Flower and Fall, you notice, is rigged up to if it had been pulled. You notice what appear to be homemade arrows of a kind of starchy white material that you pray is not bone, because it looks like bone. And these...
I immediately knew what you were gonna say.
Yeah, same.
Well,
but where else could that have been going?
There wasn't many options like what you said, bones.
Alright, that one was humorous. I'll give that one to you.
Please stop.
And Ivabin, you're the first one to notice that, indeed, the smell is actually even more unpleasant than you suspected it would be. The definite smell of stagnation of multiple people, collective accumulated filth, this kind of sharp, unpleasant, oily smell, which, given the place you grew up, is foreign and unfamiliar and very, very bad. And a kind of acrid smell that kind of unpleasantly reminds you of animals marking their territory. Yes. However, as you guys follow... Oh, no, not at all. As you guys follow them down, you see that they're in a big, kind of centralized area. Just down the stairs, a big rectangular room, the bulk of which is indeed taken up by... Oh, a little bit of feedback there. Is taken up by what is basically a massive furnace. You can see some light embers brewing within. And Ivabin, you can notice that closer to it is the definite smell of burning pit coal. And you can see piping and tubing that connects this furnace upstairs, which you imagine is how the showers likely get hot water. This furnace itself, though, is massive, and given that it appears to have coal already inside, you imagine that it is quite powerful, this furnace. Just through sheer size and containment alone. And standing up next to it, looking just as energized and excited as the other man, you see another person. This one, however, not human. At a glance, you see that they appear to be an elf. Although the exact kind of elf you don't know for sure. But they have pale skin, long black hair, and somewhat sharp, almost angular features. And their eyes kind of have this very critical and cautious look to them, although their face does awash with happiness as the human approaches them and excitedly puts hands on their shoulder and just... They found a way to get past the infected. We can get out of here. And the elf turns to all of you and gives a slow nod and a genuine smile and... Thanks. I wasn't sure how long we could last down here.
Let me tell you something quite funny.
Well, it was a toss-up between that or being eaten, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not zombies.
They're their leader?
Captain.
Yeah, Captain Thorne. The two of them just stare at all of you. But eventually the human breaks the silence. Oh, and I'll say, I actually forgot to describe how the elf is dressed. The elf, despite the filthy conditions, is dressed in an immaculate white suit. And given how, other than at the wrists and ankles, the suit is almost perfectly clean, you imagine they have been going out of their way to maintain that suit's pristine nature, with a bright, velvet-looking red undershirt. And after a moment, the human leans into the elf and... I think they're serious. How else would they have gotten down here? The elf pinches the bridge of their nose and, we'll process that another time. Do you guys have a way to get past these convicts? Infected or not, they definitely haven't been letting us leave.
I'm sure we can arrange something.
We were planning on sitting with them.
Oh, yeah, that'll be the generator. We've been making sure it's ready to go, but every time we try to turn it on, we thought they were infected, but anytime we try to turn it on, they all started banging on the door. Thought maybe the noise was riling them up, so we thought it might be best to just leave it quiet, hope that maybe they'd clear out eventually and we could leave.
Well, if you can get that active,
there are definitely more of them than there are of us.
That shouldn't be a problem, but
Oh, yeah, I think with all of us and some newfound anger I'd like to work out.
well, we could, if you wish.
Can you defend yourselves?
Yeah, they also said that their leader, it seems like he's a liar and is forcing them to do this.
He is a big meanie boy.
He's mean.
Well, I don't know anything about that, but, darling, you think you can get this up and running for these nice people? Yeah, sure thing. And he stoops to give the elf a kiss on the cheek before immediately setting to work on the generator, throwing it open and doing a check to make sure the embers are still lightly burning, and going to fetch some things from the nearby shelves. And the elf leans against the generator, carefully dusting it to make sure that there's no soot before that would stain his suit. And he gives a smile, and I'm not an engineer. That would be my darling dear's position. I'm Harold Cosman, and the engineer pipes up from his voice echoing as he starts throwing some things into the furnace. I'm Lazaro Goldschmidt. He gives a bit of a shrug, and it's something of a tradition in these parts. We've been friends since we were kids.
Well, if you take care of the generator, we'll take care of the people.
Much appreciated. Who are all of you exactly? Yeah, adds to the norm with... Yeah, that stands to reason. And he gives you a bit of a smirk. Not every day you see a dark elf with much of anyone. Yeah, I'd imagine so. And you can see he noticeably glances basically below the belt. Not even like being weird, or just like basically it's clear he knows what you're talking about. Also, I'm assuming the rest of you introduce yourselves basically similar to what we do in Black Ink Blue Blood. Does anyone not introduce themselves or give like a pseudonym or something?
Clone for I'll say the real name.
Sorry, big cool.
Alright, Paul?
I'll give my name, yes, I will tell them my name.
Alright. He gives a smile and... So you're going after the breastplate, huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, you're gonna want to hurry. I don't imagine the weather's gonna keep. From the sounds of it, it's calmed down for a little bit.
Do you know how long it'll stay calm?
He closes his eyes, and assuming it keeps for as long as it is currently, I'd say you've got 20 minutes tops. After that, I don't know how long it's going to be before essentially trolley that will take you up the mountain, where there is a way to get there by foot, but it's a much longer route.
Yeah. Yes.
Lazaro speaks up. We can keep the generator running, no problem, especially with the, and he does air quotes, infected dealt with. That was the only reason we couldn't maintain it in the first place. Problem is, once you're up there, there's not going to be an easy way to get down, so, buckle your seatbelts if you're planning to go that way. It's something we've been engineering for a long time. Feiner Corps introduced the idea. It takes you through the air, so that way you can see, well, normally you'd be seeing scenery rather than empty cities and fog and rain and such, but, yeah, it takes you by air. Well, it does have a reverse, but
the weather is going to be rough on it. It sounds like.
Well, that and we'll lose sight of you pretty quickly in the weather conditions, rain or shine. With things the way they are right now, once you're out of sight, you might as well be out of mind. We won't have any idea what the weather's like where you are, even if we could pull you back.
Well, either way. So, how should we take care of these bandits, guys?
I don't want to. I don't want the child to be hurt. Otherwise, I don't mind clearing out unnecessary folk.
Well, I wasn't really planning. Well, I thought it did cross my mind. I wasn't really planning on any lethal actions. But so
Was your idea?
I mean, we simply knock them out, and by the time they come, we can either put them in cells or tie them up, or however need be. But after that, it'd be the city's problem.
I'll say Lazaro and I would be more than happy to drag those bastards into the cells ourselves if you can knock them out first.
The size of the room. Damn, the size of the room that they were in. Can I have like an idea of like what size that room was?
The commons area or the
Where most of the guys were pretty much.
the commons area was 40 feet by 70 feet.
Oh, it's pretty big.
Well, yeah, it's like the big central area of a prison, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my draconic heritage won't be as much help as I had hoped.
Lazaro, crouching next to the generator, gives a nod and, alright, I think she should be ready to get up and running, but everyone's gonna know once I pull the trigger on this, so whatever you guys are gonna do, make sure you're ready.
Well, I don't really prefer not to hurt the kid. Should I maybe we can find the situation, but if we choose not to target them, it definitely would look suspicious, and they'll use him.
Act like you're casting suggestion.
I can do it one more time. Yes.
Well, but maybe they'll get the message.
But who should I suggest? I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. You are very small. Could you speak up?
Very small.
She's big, so.
I am having trouble hearing you, so I can't hear you. Can you speak up, please?
Yeah, like,
I
I'm
should
saying
listen to her.
it sounded like she was meaning, like, possibly pretending to do it. Maybe they'll get the message and act out that.
What?
Like, you don't need to do suggestion. You can
Pretend to cast suggestion, and if the kid gets the message, he'll pretend to be suggested, so that way it looks like you're targeting him, but that'll still keep him safe. Basically, keeps him safe while also not arousing suspicion, because it looks like you're treating him like any of the other bandits.
Okay.
I was like,
Now I follow. Now I follow. Sorry. I can do that, yes. So, do you want me to go do that now before he, as you say, pull the trigger?
well, now would be the question is we don't even know where the kid is now. So
Wasn't he in the common area with the others?
who knows?
Yeah. Wasn't he in the common area with the others?
That was where you last saw him, but he could be wherever now.
Well, if he is there, I will do it. If he is not there, I will cast a spell on somebody else.
Alright. In that case, we'll... 8 plus your proficiency plus your spellcasting modifier. You're a ranger, so wisdom. If it may be a racial trait that uses your dexterity instead of your wisdom, in that case it would be 8 plus your proficiency plus your dexterity modifier. Alright. Noted. Lazaro pipes up. Alright, I guess in that case we'll wait down here just a little longer, and you guys report back when it's safe, and for now I'll just make sure that she has enough fuel to, well, get you up the mountain, if nothing else.
Much appreciated. And I'm gonna go find you.
Okay, are you all gonna follow? Okay. You guys start filing back up the stairs into the shockingly more pleasant smelling bathroom, back out into the hall network, and from the sounds of it, towards the common area. You can see the prisoners all gathered. However, their attention does not seem to be on you, as you do see Hugh along with his grandfather sitting at a table, but their attention is all currently locked on the opposite end of the common area, where another group, presumably with a less lethal outing, seems to be returning with loot in tow. It seems to be mostly small things like personal belongings and things of that nature, but they seem pleased with the take nonetheless, and there's an uproar of congratulatory cheers, and from the sounds of it, people catching them up on what they missed. Overall, yeah, I've been doing a quick head count. In total, this group returning brings the total number to 26. And you see a final figure emerge from behind that group, and the cheerful air immediately falls silent.
Their captain of that.
You see a tall human man, dressed in a brilliantly white jacket, although it has been discolored by the soot and ash outside. Long, armored black gloves at the end of his arms. Equally black pants and boots. Very snappily dressed fellow. His skin is sallow and sunken, but it does have a tan to it. Like, it looks like he had gotten a tan at some point and has not been maintaining it. His hair is dark black in a flat top, almost military coloration. And on closer inspection, you can see that his jacket is not actually pure white. It appears to be a forest green that has just been so faded by the sun that it looks white. And you can see as he walks that he walks with a slight limp to him. And Flower and Fall, you notice that one of his feet is splayed slightly, almost as if either one leg is shorter than the other or something is wrong with his knee. And he gives a friendly but no doubt sinister connotation smile, and one hand gloved remains firmly in one of his jacket's pockets. And you're all, again, their attention is firmly on him. If you all want to stay in hiding, just say the word and you'll make stealth checks. But for now, nobody seems to be paying you any mind, as everyone's either looking away from you and their attention seems firmly on him, who's focused on the crowd for the moment. So, what's this I've been hearing about us taking prisoners now?
Or visual. Sorry, visual confirmation that
basically going
go
again.
time. I like the way you think, Ellen.
As if to answer his question, or rather to not, there is total silence in the prison. Well, does the genius who had that idea feel like stepping forward? Anyone at all? After a moment, Scrummy steps forward, kind of fumbling a little bit in his steps, as he gives his usual friendly, demure smile, and... sorry, boss. We found some prisoners. Well, they weren't prisoners when we found them, but they became... Get to the point. Right. They were trying to break in, but they activated the traps, and totally helpless. We trussed him up real good, threw him down in the cellar with the engineer and his boyfriend. Right. Care to explain why you did that, and why I don't see you handing over valuables that you took off of them? You said it yourself, Captain. You always get the first take, aye? Yes, I get the first take, but you take it off of them, and then give it to me! And he slaps Scrummy hard. Scrummy going completely reeling back ass over kettle. And you can see a few people step forward as he quite literally puts his foot down, presumably Captain Thorne. Hand still not leaving his pocket, only slapping Scrummy with his free hand. And you can note, I will say, Flower and Fall and Ivabin, you two notice most immediately the gaze of the bandit seems locked on the hand that's in his pocket.
Something special.
So, what you mean to tell me is you found people breaking in here, let them not fall for the ruse. In fairness, Captain, they already didn't believe it when we found them. Let them disbelieve our ruse. Didn't take a single thing off of them, and threw them down into the cellar. Where, if they get that generator up and running, the city will get cleaned up, and our whole operation comes, and he does a little wiggly effect with his fingers, crumbling down like ash from the mountain. Is that what you all mean to tell me? And there's a pregnant pause. And Eldar steps forward, demurely and cautiously. And we're sorry, Captain, but there's a long moment of hesitance before. We can't do this anymore.
Ooh.
I said we can't do this anymore. You said that nobody was gonna get hurt, but the pudgy one pipes up. Raid Team B was lost, Captain. Took heavy casualties, not a single one returned. And you can hear whispers starting to go up in the prison at that.
DM, how far away are they?
From you guys, about 20, the crew is about 20 feet away, but Bryce is on the complete opposite side, about 60 feet from you.
Okay. If I want to say now, if they turn on him, I would like to cast magic missile on him.
Now, what are you going to define as turning on him?
Like, now they're like, oh, we're not going to do that anymore. Like, if they turn their weapons to him.
Basically, they bring arms to him.
Okay, noted.
Yes.
We're losing people out there, Captain, and the weather's not getting any better. And, Scrummy kind of flinches a bit as Bryce angrily turns his attention back to him. The prisoners told us where you got the paints from. They said you're from the circus. Did they now? So you're all taking the word of random street thugs that should be at our mercy over me. There's another silence, and the skinny, sickly-looking one that had spoken to you all briefly on the way in, pipes up. We lost Team B, Captain. My brother was on that team. You said nobody was going to get hurt. And you can see the whispers in the prisoner starting to get louder, discontent kind of being sowed. And Bryce actually does take a bit of a step back, but hands staying firmly in pocket as his eyes dart and rake around the common area. You can hear voices talking to each other now, but loud enough for all of you to hear. If we're losing people, then we need to leave the city. The prison's not safe anymore. It's only a matter of time before the weather gets worse and chases us out at one way or another. Bryce kind of squints and pinches the bridge of his nose before giving a ear-piercing whistle to bring silence. I see what's happening now. This is a mutiny, then. Weather turns a little south. Prisoners sowing seeds of discontent among my men. And next thing you know, we're all turning on each other, like common rabble. Thought you all said you were better than common crooks. That's why I made this plan, remember? Nobody gets hurt, because you don't have the stomach for it. There's a silence in the prison again, and you can see the discontent only. The discontent is still there, but there's an uncertainty to it now. And Bryce's eyes begin to rake the entire room. You've let the seeds of destruction get sown right in our very doorstep. I'm gonna need you all with me if we're going to clear them out. You all, and he glares to, absolutely, go for it.
Not going to.
No.
Okay. Alright, noted. Flower and Fall?
Just hide behind your car.
And Flower and Fall, are you hiding?
No. Albeit, we're tiny, so it'll be fairly easy.
Oh no, I have a plan. I have a plan.
There's only 24 of them.
I have a plan.
Yeah. I have a plan too.
Mm-hmm.
Called murder. No.
I killed one too.
Good omens. Killing ants and nat ones. Bryce continues, again seeming deeply unsatisfied, and let me clear up these misconceptions. I'm doing what I can about the weather. I'm not making progress as fast as I'd like, but there's not a whole hell of a lot I can do about that. But you all turning on each other, or turning on me, is not doing any good. And if that's not enough to convince you, and you can see everyone in the room flinch as he just twitches the elbow of the arm that's still in his pocket. That's what I thought.
I'm gonna walk out.
I'm gonna walk out too.
You can stay hidden, you know.
Yeah. Azari's big enough. She can block the doorway. I'm gonna say, as I walk out, I'm gonna say, don't listen to this liar. Instead, turn your arms to him and join us.
And Asari, you do not have time to belt that out. As good of a line as it is.
Thanks.
Paul, what's your AC?
I have the shield with me, so 19.
Okay.
That sounds like it's.
Paul, the moment you step out, Asari, as you're basically in the time it takes you to start walking out and start formulating what you want to say, you all hear a bang as from Bryce's pocket, with this flash, this split second of motion, draws a pistol from his coat pocket and fires. And Paul, if it wasn't for the fact that you were holding your shield to bear, you see sparks fly as the bullet narrowly misses your heart. If the corner of your shield had just been in position to block it from making impact. Bryce twirls the pistol and brings it to bear as he draws his blade and gives a wild, wicked smile. And assassins it is, then. Everyone, destroy them. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
More than 20 minutes, probably.
There are a lot of guys.
Yeah, there is 20 of them, and Bryce is pretty tough.
Trying to get some of them on our side. Come on.
Well, I'm gonna say, basically, even if you convince like half of them, that's still over a dozen people. Just the sheer like action economy itself is not in your favor here. And besides, yeah. I do like basically you belted out that speech, which was legitimately very good, before I could point out that Bryce manages to get a shot off.
Oh, I thought it was quick enough.
Yeah, no.
My lag.
No, it actually wasn't even that.
He was already prepared to shoot.
Did he already know we were there, I'm assuming?
Not necessarily.
Uh-oh.
Well, too late now.
Our fate is they'll die.
Zephyr walks away.
The new Zephyr of this campaign. Pragmatic.
Yeah, basically, if you can't swing it, then you're just not gonna make it.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how this fight pans out. Maybe they'll change your mind. If you want to see more of my DMing, check out twitch.tv/GrahamCrackers, GrameCrackers, for my Friday campaign, The Goldshine Investigations, at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time, taking place in the same campaign setting as this, but in the slightly distant past. A very politically driven campaign, the whole party's nobility, it's a lot of fun. Check out our website at officiald5hub.info, resurrected from the dead like an awful, evil necromancer.
You know what? Fuck you.
Check the link that should be about to be posted in chat for our official D5 Discord server if you want to hang out with us directly. And please support our episodes. Post on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, and the iHeart Podcast Network, wherever you happen to get them from. For our audio listeners, catch us live on Wednesdays at 9:30 Central Daylight Time at twitch.tv/Odd Tornado Productions. And check out Odd Tornado Productions Official on Tumblr to find links to our other works, including our currently Dark Elf Rangers Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Killer5, 5 with a PH, don't get it wrong. If you enjoy what we do, please support us on Patreon. I will be posting a link in chat for that. Or on Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/Odd Tornado Productions. And follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/TornadoOdd, TNO capitalized. And slight mix-up on my part. I'm having to adapt the intro script as I go. If you enjoyed this party and want to see more of it, and then some, check out our Tuesday game of Black Ink and Blue Blood, taking on Tuesdays at 9:30 Central Daylight Time, same schedule as this stream. And that's actually the nobility-focused one. Gulch Investigations is a mystery-driven one. Got it mixed up in my head, my bad. But yeah, same party, plus a few extras, a lot of fun. And if you really like my DMing and want more of it, and you just can't get enough, I'm currently looking for players for a paid campaign that will also be taking place in the same setting, but in the distant future, where technology is advancing, armies are growing, and adventurers find themselves becoming slowly irrelevant. So if that interests you, hit me up on whatever, any of the socials I listed, and I would be more than happy to discuss ideas. I think that's about it from me. Correct me if I'm forgetting anything. There's the links, and yeah, I think that about covers everything.